Hey there, in today's video I'm going to compare this, the Nike Alphafly 2, to this, the Nike Vaporfly 3. First, I'm going to go through the physical characteristics of the shoes, then their running characteristics. Finally, I'm going to try and decide which one you should buy and why. I'm making this video because I have the latest Alphafly, the Alphafly 2, and the latest Vaporfly, the Vaporfly 3. I also have the original Alphafly, which I'll call the Alphafly 1. Now, I bought this shoe at a time when I had no better idea about which was right for me, the Alphafly or the Vaporfly. So I did what I suppose most people do. I bought the cheapest one at the time. And I imagine a lot of you might be in the same position trying to figure out which of these particular shoes to buy. And in this video, I'm trying to go through the characteristics of the shoe, recommend one, and tell you why I'm recommending it for you. And as always, there are chapter markers down below, so you can skip on through to the bits you might be interested in. Let's get going. The uppers of the shoes are very different. The Alphafly 2, like the Alphafly 1, has a bootie construction with a simple opening, no separate tongue. It's all part of the same fabric weave. The piece goes higher up on your Achilles heel, and there are pull tabs here and here with the similar type of laces with the edges to sort of lock them in place, but simple little fabric eyelets for it to pull through. Not the easiest shoe to get on, but very comfortable once it's on and holds very well in position. The Vaporfly 3, well, I mean, I don't like the upper Vaporfly 3. Let's just get that out there. There's a sort of flappy tongue which is hinged at the bottom here. They have the same type of laces as the Vaporfly, but they're hard to pull through the eyelets, and I found it a difficult shoe to sit comfortably in. By complete different example, this is the Streakfly, which is another of Nike's fast shoes for 5 to 10Ks. This is a beautiful upper, really nice to get on, very simple lacing patterns. And this shoe is interesting in that it's hinged halfway and very, very easy to get in. So yeah, in terms of uppers, I'd really like a Vaporfly base and a Streakfly upper. The Vaporfly 3 uses a fly knit upper, very lightweight, lots of holes, well ventilated. In the case of the Alphafly 2, Nike wanted to save even more weight, so they steamed and stretched the fly knit to become atom knit. It's incredibly breathable, but it's also nearly transparent. If you have a look, you can kind of see the liner of the shoe. It is a really transparent, really breathable, and very comfortable upper. The key differentiator between the shoes is the midsole. The Alphafly 2 has 2 Zoom Air pods in each shoe, and they're clearly visible at the front. The other big difference is just how much foam there is in the Alphafly 2. Here's the rear of the shoes, the heel, and here's the forefoot. So we'll do some measurements, but yeah, there's a lot more foam in the Alphafly 2. I mentioned the Alphafly 2 is wider. My shoes are US men's 13, UK 12, EU 47.5. And that's what I typically buy in a Nike shoe. The Alphafly 2 in the forefoot is 128 millimeters, and the Vaporfly 3 in the forefoot is 118 millimeters, which is 10 millimeters in the difference. Less than half, just less than half an inch. And in the Alphafly 2 in the rear, it's 108 millimeters, and the Vaporfly 3 in the rear is 83 millimeters, which is a 25 millimeter difference. 25.4 is an inch, so practically an inch in the rear of the shoe, which is considerable. The stack height and drop height of the Alphafly 2 and Vaporfly 3 is the same at 40 millimeters stack and 8 millimeter drop. But interestingly, the Alphafly 1 has a 4 millimeter drop, so half the drop of the Alphafly 2. So clearly Nike learned something as they went along, and now both of their high performance shoes have 40 millimeter stack, 8 millimeter drop. All that extra foam and pods in the Alphafly 2 leads to additional weight. Nike say that the women's size 8 weighs 198 grams and the men's size 10 weighs 249 grams. And they also say the Vaporfly 3, the women's size 8 is 165 grams and the men's size 10 is 200 grams. Now, in my size, the Alphafly 2 is 308 grams, 10.58 ounces, and the Vaporfly 3 is 242 grams, or 8.54 ounces. Now that's a difference of 66 grams, or 2.33 ounces in each shoe. In terms of design, largely form follows function in these two shoes. The Alphafly 2 looks more dramatic with the pods down the front, and I preferred the Vaporfly 1 and 2 to this, the 3, but largely in a marathon shoe, I just want it to be fast. In terms of colors, these are both launch colors. The Alphafly 2 is now available, I think, in looking, I mean, it's going to vary throughout the world, etc. But it was in a bright orange color, and the Vaporfly 3, there's kind of one available, which is a sort of sunburst, a sort of orangey red and all that sort of stuff. And but there's a couple more to come. So based on the previous Vaporfly, I think colors are going to come and come and come. So yeah, there's very little variety at the moment, but that will change. There's another difference between the shoes, and that is the noise. These two output a lot of noise. People can hear you coming a long way away. I haven't found the ZoomX foam on the Nike shoes to be particularly durable. I know many people get more miles out of them than I do, so I'm hard on shoes, particularly at the rear. But my Alphaflys, the originals, have 95.71 kilometers in them and one marathon, and they wore a bit at the back, and certainly the outsole wears down. The Alphafly 2 has 52.06 kilometers on them, and they're starting to get roughed up back here. Haven't run a marathon in these. And the Vaporfly 3 also getting roughed up at the back and thin outsole, even though there's only 33 kilometers in these. They also, funny enough, they started to catch a stone. It's sort of like On shoes always catch stones. Caught a stone in those, and then I checked, and there's also a stone in here. So yeah, marginal problem, the stones. But yeah, I wouldn't expect to get a lot of life out of a marathon shoe. For me, it's kind of one run and done. In terms of the running experience, in the Alphafly, I ran a marathon, several 1 kilometer time trials and 5K races. And in terms of the Alphafly 2, I haven't done any racing, but I've done a lot of testing in this shoe. And the Vaporfly 3, I did a 2-hour run at marathon pace and some strides and various other bits of running around the park. In terms of running feel, the Alphafly 2 feels so very different to any other running shoe in my experience. It stands to reason that it would feel different because it is. It's got these massive foot pods in the forefoot and a lot of foam. So there's a lot going on, and there's also a lot of noise going on. The other super shoes are more similar. So the Asics Metaspeed Sky Plus is more similar to the Vaporfly 3 than the Vaporfly 3 would be to the Alphafly 2. They do feel very different, this to this, and if I was to say, this sort of feels, well, more normal. Nike pitched the Alphafly as being a more expensive shoe than the Vaporfly, but there are lots of deals, and my original Alphaflys were cheaper than Vaporflys at the time, and so check around. But the list prices, the Alphafly 2 is €299.99, 275 US dollars, 259 pounds 95 sterling, or 370 Australian dollars. And the Vaporfly 3 is €259.99, $250 US, 234.95 sterling, and 330 Australian dollars. Now, when I'm pitching and buying marathon shoes, that's a lot of money, but the additional $50 or so between the two shoes is not that significant for me, because again, by the time I get to a marathon, I'm paying a hotel, I'm paying flights and entry fees and all sorts of other things. So if I thought I could run faster in one or other of these shoes, cost would not be the differentiator. In terms of the use case of the shoes, this always causes me amusement. On the Alphaflys, Nike describe it as not PPE, not personal protective equipment. They don't do that in the Vaporflys, meaning, do they think it's a PPE? Clearly not, but I don't know why they do that. However, they do. But what they do say is, with the Vaporfly 3, it's for chasing your personal best from 10K to marathon. And the Alphafly 2 is for peak performance marathon and long distance road running. And if it's 5 to 10K, then you need to be in the street fly, according to Nike. To analyze the performance, well, we look at Eliud Kipchoge and some of his performances, and then, well, we'll have a look at some of mine. That's all I've got, really. Hopefully you're somewhere between the two, and by looking at two, you might be able to draw some conclusions. And I will be looking at some scientific studies, but that was just going to make this video really long, so I'm going to try and do that next week. So let's look at Eliud's data. Well, on the 6th of May 2017, in the first ever pair of Vaporflys, the Vaporfly 4%, in his Breaking 2 attempt, a controlled marathon, he basically ran in 2 hours and 25 seconds in the first ever Vaporfly. But he hadn't broken the 2-hour barrier, and there was lots of conditions, and it was a controlled race. Well, he was basically trying a time trial. But he then repeated it in 2019 on the 12th of October in Vienna, I think, and he ran in a pair of Alphafly prototypes the next percent, and he did break the 2-hour record at 1 hour, 59 minutes and 40 seconds. And then in 2022, in a race I ran in on the 25th of September in Berlin, he broke the world record in the Alphafly 2s. So in a pair of bright orange Alphafly 2s, actually. So he ran in 2 hours, 1 minute and 9 seconds. I'm guessing that Eliud Kipchoge has the pick of Nike shoes, and on the basis that he picked this one, the Alphafly 2s. Okay, the Vaporfly 3 wasn't out at the time, but I don't imagine there's massive difference between the Vaporfly 2 and the Vaporfly 3 in terms of performance, but he chose the Alphafly to break the world record. Now, it will be really interesting to see what he does in Boston at the end of the month, but I would be expecting him to turn up in a pair of Alphaflys. I previously run in the Alphafly. I ran a marathon in these. I've set my 1 kilometer personal best in these, my 5 kilometer personal best, but not my marathon personal best. And one of the reasons is I think I sagged back in the Alphafly. I can feel it. I can feel myself sagging back on the heels as I run longer and I run slower. With the second version, the stack height is a bit different, and I suspect I would run a little bit faster in the Alphafly 2 than the Alphafly 1. But yeah, I didn't get the result out of the Alphafly that I would like. It certainly wasn't my personal best. My personal best was in this, the Metaspeed Sky Plus, and its previous version. So yeah, we'll delve into the video and see why. The physical characteristics and the running characteristics all feed into my decision making in terms of the shoe. But what I found, and I'll show some slow motion video, is that the faster I go, the more towards the forefoot I'm striking. So that when I go at an easy pace, I'm more towards the heel. When I go at my marathon pace, 5 minutes 30, or hopefully a bit faster per kilometer, that pace I'm sort of midfoot striking. And when I'm sprinting along, I'm definitely striking more towards my forefoot. Now what that means effectively is that to get the benefit out of the Alphafly when I ran the marathon, I need to be on the forefoot all the time. And ultimately, I can't run at that pace for the marathon. So which of these two shoes should you buy and why? Well, you might have a different view to me, and you might be using different criteria. It'd be great to hear in the comments below what you think. If you like getting noticed, definitely the Alphafly 2. It's bigger, bolder, and you can hear it coming. So if you like being noticed, the Alphafly 2 is one for you. I'm going to ignore cost. I'm assuming Kipchoge also ignores cost. I'm assuming he gets his for free. Maybe he doesn't, but I assume he does. And so I'm going to ignore the cost because, again, as I said, the cost of flights, hotels, and all that is a bigger factor for me. Kipchoge set the world record in the Alphafly 2, so I'm guessing they would be his shoe of choice. For me, the added weight doesn't help. It's 66 grams per shoe, 2.33 ounces, heavier in the Alphafly 2 than the Vaporfly 3, and the weight isn't worth it for me because I'm not getting enough of the spring forward effect. He clearly is. I'm swinging an extra 66 grams at 177 steps per minute, or 41,418 times in a marathon, and I'm just not getting the benefit of the additional weight. Now, if you're Eliud Kipchoge and you can forefoot strike for the duration of the marathon, then I would pick this, the Nike Alphafly 2. Now, if you're Eliud Kipchoge and you can do that, you're probably not watching my video to decide which shoe is the one you want to wear in Boston. However, if you do strike more on the forefoot and keep it going for the bulk of the marathon, I think this is a great shoe. But if, on the other hand, like me, you strike in mid to rear foot at marathon pace, then the Vaporfly 2 is the one to go for, I think. I went out the other day running in it for 2-hour easy run, just taking it easy, and I found that I did my 2-hour easy run at my marathon pace, which I really was not expecting. So for me, Rotterdam, here we go. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you hit the like button. As always, there'll be lots of information down in the description below, and I'll happily answer any questions you pop into the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there, and some more videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.